Austin Carrigg. I'm a military spouse, and I'm one to three amazing young humans. I'm a 22-year-old, a 20-year-old, and a 12-year-old. Our family is considered an exceptional family by the military, and that means that we are a family that's living with disabilities where the service member is not the person who has disabilities, so it's the child or the spouse. In our case, all three of our children are enrolled in what the military calls the Exceptional Family Member Program. The program was created with the intent to make sure that families are moved to places that they can receive adequate medical care and that they're not accidentally put in places where they get there and the care is not available, the specialty is not going to be there, and things can go catastrophically wrong. In 2018, our family, and here's my little ones, along with 35 other military families, filed a complaint with the Department of Defense IG. So the Inspector General is who looks in as a third party to find out what's going on. So a complaint comes in, they do an investigation. That investigation took 6 years to complete. It came back because all the things we were saying were problems were indeed problems. That is where our journey as a family started. Moving into February 2020, the House Armed Service Committee held the first ever hearing on the DoD's Exceptional Family Member Program. I was asked to testify on behalf of military families by sharing not only my own experiences and that of our families, but that of other families just like ours. The hearing was a lot. The lawmakers who put the hearing together were angry. Congressman Trent Kelly, who is one of the most amazing people that we've probably ever met, gave this quote at the hearing in his deep Southern accent, yelling at all of the members from the Department of Defense that were there. Because he's right. We have to make it better. And so we keep trying. In 2020, right after that hearing, hundreds of people reached out to me through social media. How can I help? That story that you shared, that's my story. We have to do something to make a change. At the same time, all of this is going on, I'm thinking, maybe a nonprofit's a good idea. Maybe I need to find a place that can be home for all of these families just like mine. And so the ideas came together for a nonprofit, but as the military does, they decided it was time for us to move in the middle of all of this. So in July of 2020, in the middle of COVID, in the middle of lockdown, we picked up our family against medical advice and moved from Washington, D.C. to Los Angeles. I thought when I testified before Congress I was going to be telling the military all of the most horrible things that our family would have experienced at the hands of the Exceptional Family Member Program and that it could only get better from here. I was wrong. It took 6 months for us to establish the medical care that was required for our daughter. And we took her in for an MRI that should have been a same-day appointment. The next day she had a catastrophic left MCA stroke that paralyzed the entire right side of her body. What we know is that the military doctors missed it by not doing the tests they needed, and if they hadn't made us move, she would have had the surgery she needed to prevent the stroke. In those moments, I thought, how am I going to do this? I can't do a nonprofit and take care of this child who can't walk anymore. And so we had hours and days. My family couldn't come to the hospital because it was COVID. It was me and her. And I told her, if you survive, it will be for something. And I promised her that if we did this nonprofit, it would be for legacy. We know that we'll lose her early, but it'll be for something. And in April of 2021, we fulfilled that promise. Our nonprofit received nonprofit status from the IRS, and she was discharged from the hospital, walking and running and driving. And so the world was finally looking up. And things were bumpy, but we were able to get our story out to national media. So we did Stars and Stripes. Nora O'Donnell featured our family and our nonprofit about all the work we were doing and trying to help us kind of get that word out to families as the DoD and to funders to prove to them that we are families that need help just like our wounded warriors do. Into the nonprofit, we are hearing from these families, we're all facing food and financial insecurity as a direct result of living with disabilities. So families are driving up to 100 miles each direction for medical care when the military stations them somewhere. They're paying for gas, they're paying to park, and then they're choosing, do I pay for that or do I buy a gallon of milk? We know that they're facing childcare and spouse unemployment issues, and they're really tied together. If your child's disabled, they can't go to a daycare. If you can't go to a daycare, then how do you work? And if you can't work, that leads back to food and financial insecurity. And so it's this vicious cycle that just kept going and going and going. And the Department of Defense hasn't really come up with a great plan to serve our families. We've heard the quality of life issues they're working on, but none of those address the reasons that these things affect us. They're also struggling with access to affordable healthcare. We think that TRICARE is free, great. But what a lot of our families are having to do is pay for their co-pays for medications. We're in a brand new pharmacy, brand new TRICARE pharmacy benefit now. So now we're limited in the pharmacies that we can use. MTS are out of medication. Our specialty pharmacy, we can't use Medicaid, which is what a lot of families are using to pay for their co-pays. So on average, we spend about $500 a month out of pocket on our co-pays for medication for one child. And I can tell you that we are not alone, that we're hearing from a lot of families that these co-pays are very high when you're adding it up across the family, and that co-pay doesn't go to the maximum amount we can pay a year. We have what we call our circle of support. We take what we learn from families in our family support programming. We take all of their concerns, their complaints, and things that aren't working right, and we do research because we know that nobody's going to fix something unless we can prove there's a problem, and our stories aren't enough. And then we take our research and we change it to government policy and legislation reform. So we go to Congress, we go to the DoD, we ask for change. We've been very successful. We've got hearing aids covered for retiree families. We've got EFM standardized, and every year we're just continuing to push forward. We're the only organization serving EFMP families by EFMP families from lived experiences. We focus only on this population, and it means that we're able to meet them where they are in the place they are, because nobody's going to know what it's like to be in the hospital in the middle of the night and not know how to get out of the parking garage because you can't afford to pay for it. But we do. And so we're going to hold your hand and walk you through it. Our community impact. We serve 15,000 plus families in our family support. We've done a survey last year. We had 1,525 respondents. Doesn't seem like a lot, but the Department of Defense emailed every single service member in the Department of Defense with a family member enrolled in EFP when they did their survey, and we reached 10% of their numbers. So the fact that they could get into every inbox and we got to 10% of what they got, that's pretty good for our second survey. We reach 100% of the 146,000 dependents enrolled in EFMP through our legislative reform and policy changes. Because anytime we change something for our families, we're changing it for all of the families that are enrolled in the program. Our financial landscape, we've made a 987% increase from last year to where we are just today in 2024. You can see that our income were at $7,000 last year. We were trying to keep the lights on. This year we're already at $77,000. And we are actively pursuing additional funding so that we can increase what we provide to our families and family support based off of what we're hearing from them, all the things that they're struggling with. When we set out at the beginning of the year, we're like, what do we need to do to know that we're going to continue to grow and increase? We wanted to increase the amount of grant applications we did by 50%. We've done that. We wanted to grow our family support and our peer-to-peer support groups, specifically create new ones for missing demographics, and we're doing that. We wanted to develop new programming, and we'll get to that in just a moment. We have some really great new programming that we just launched because we have the additional funding to do so. So we are hitting this roadmap to growth, and we are anticipating that when we come into the new year, we're going to be able to add things to it because we're able to expand now with the additional funding. We could really use your help. Our leaders are all volunteers. We don't pay anybody in our organization. They're volunteers who have a loved one in the EFMP, or they're an adult who are in EFMP. And so we're always looking for mentorship for them, being someone to guide them on the things that they aren't sure, because a lot of us are doing jobs that we're not used to. If you're in a place where you hear somebody talk about EFMP, or maybe one of the things that we're asking to have changed, we'd ask that you support us. Tell that we're an organization that knows what we're talking about, right? We're in the weeds with families. So please support our advocacy or our legislative work if you're in a place that you can do so. Collaborate with us on programming, research, fundraising. We never know who we're in the room with, but if you have any of those skills, we would love to talk to you about it, because we have big ideas. We just don't know how to implement them sometimes. And then create connections with us with EFMP families. If you know a family who needs assistance, this is the most important one. Please send them to us, because they feel lost. The day you get a diagnosis is the worst day of your life, and you don't know where to go. Send them to us. This is easy. Send them our way. We're going to support them and guide them across this journey. For funding allocation plan, if you were to win the money from Warrior Rising, you would use $5,000 for operations. This $5,000 is really what we've been spending annually on our website, on Zoom, all of the things we use to keep the organization up and running. So it's not an increase, it's really where we're at. $5,000 for marketing, because we are struggling to reach the younger demographic, those new soldiers and sailors coming in. They're on TikTok, they're in all these places that we're realizing the only way to really get our content in front of them is if we pay to do that, because we've tried organically growing it and it's not growing in the same ways because probably we're a lot older than them. We do ask our adult children to help us figure out what TikTok to make, but we know that we need to be able to advertise and be at events that the younger demographic is going to be at so that we can connect with them too. And then we want to use $10,000 for support programming. One of our newest programs is our EFM grant. It stands for Exceptional Food Medical Parking Grant. So we give families $30 every time they have an appointment that they apply for. It's $10 for a parent, $10 for a child, and then $10 for parking or gas. It seems small, but if it's $30 that you don't have to worry about, and then you have money for groceries, so you can buy that loaf of bread, that gallon of milk, it's going to make a difference. We had over 40 applications within the first 24 hours of launching our program, and by 72 hours, we were at over 75. So that's a pretty quick turnaround because we also require them to send us proof that they have an appointment. So these families are serious. They've not only done the application, they've sent us proof that we were getting that money in their hands. We're putting together a DME lending closet. And DME stands for durable medical equipment. When we move, we can't take all of the medical equipment our children need. So bath chairs, you might have your wheelchair, you don't have your medical bed, you don't have many of the large pieces of equipment that you need because you can't fit them in your car and you're waiting for the military to deliver your household goods. So what we want to do is have a closet they can come to. We lend it to them for as long as they need it and they give it back. It really is self-supporting with the exception of our storage costs because families will then be able to donate their old equipment to us so that we're recycling the things that people have outgrown. And then our last one down here is our EFM Junior Ambassador Grant. So we're putting together a group of children who are living with disabilities. Does not matter where they are they up here cognitively or down here, we're finding a way for them all to participate. We're putting them together to do community events. We're also asking our board for our junior ambassadors to help us come up with things that are troubling them in their lives that are directly related to EFMP. We're going to take those ideas to Congress and ask them to help us create policy. At the end of the year, we want to be able to give a grant to some of these children to fly them into DC so they can meet with the policy holders and decision makers that their requests directly influence so that they feel like they've done something to make their lives better. Because I think what we hear often is it has to be for something, right? All of these challenges, it has to be for something. And so being able to be there and meet these people, we think would really be rewarding at the end of their year as a junior ambassador. Thank you.